welcome. I'm Howie Howard from Mr. Furious Records. And today on Dat Fury... Dat Fury Radio, I'm joined by returning guest Michael Carlson, aka remst8. What's going on, Michael?
Hi there, just hanging out, ready to listen to some music.
Exactly, and why don't I get some going?
Yes, please.
So we have something to listen to. What are we listening to today? We are listening to selections from all three releases of the Mr. Furious Darker Dimensions crossover event. Now, crossover event, that's obviously an idea taken from comic books, and that is the concept here. We've got multiple threads of my projects coming together to create something bigger, and that has like two elements to it, right? There's a practical element and there's an artistic element. The artistic element is the artwork is shared. If you look at all three covers lined up, the background is the same. It's one image with the different heroes, you know, in front and the kind of consistent lettering and everything. I do think there's kind of a circular, by accident, I have to admit, there's kind of a circular musical crossover happening where the first album, Revolution in Darker Dimensions by remst8. This is an album I made with my dad's Lyra 8 synthesizer, along with a custom optical controller that I made, and I have a separate video on YouTube going through all that in a lot of detail. And so my dad made a record called C with this instrument, and so this is a remst8 record that sounds like a night mode record. And then the night mode record, Serenity in Darker Dimensions, I think has some elements of MS Ride in the catchiness of some of the pieces, and there's some vocals, which is very unusual for night mode. They are coming from a voltage controlled radio, so they're not my voice or anything like that, but I don't think that's one of the tracks we'll hear tonight because it's a longer one. But there are some vocals, and so in some ways it's a night mode record with elements of MS Ride. And then the third installment, Perseverance in Darker Dimensions by MS Ride, is very strange and noisy and weird and synth driven in the way that a night mode record would be. So there's kind of a Ouroboros of musical influence there. Then the practical side is that functionally, in terms of the recordings I have on deck and the way the Mr. Furious calendar was intentionally shut down in late 2023 for family reasons, laid very low for 2024 for different family reasons, we're coming back. And so this is a way to bring a lot of music together, get it out, promote it all at once, and have a giant crossover. And those two ideas, the practical and the artistic, they don't exist without each other. They were two sides of the same coin in my lead up to all of this. But I have been planning this for a long time. I don't remember when the idea first occurred to me. It might have been before the 2023 intentional wind down. But I just said a bunch of things at your face, Michael. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I really appreciate that background, especially given the context of the crossover event. And so I was kind of wondering, when you set out to make music, do you start and knowing which hat you're wearing as far as, hey, I'm doing a Drone Space 9 piece now, or I'm doing an MS Ride piece, or I'm going to do a night mode thing, or do you kind of find out in the making of it that, oh, this kind of feels like an MS Ride thing, or this kind of feels like a Drone Space 9? How do you approach that?
I generally know. Basically, if it has vocals, it's going to be MS Ride, or Mars Lights or Dark Satellites if we're in,
the expanded universe.
Yeah. Drone Space 9 has emerged as kind of an accident. The first thing was the challenge. There's an artist, Chris Knife on Bandcamp, who does edits of science fiction noise, and I enjoy the Star Trek noise. Mm-hmm. And so just as a technical challenge to myself, I attempted to recreate the Deep Space Nine station noise in VCV Rack, and actually ended up realizing it would be easier to do in Reaper. At least the way I was approaching it.
Right on.
So I did that because I enjoyed listening to the Christ Knife Star Trek noise, but I wanted it to be longer and I wanted it to not repeat.
Yep.
So I recreated the Deep Space Nine station noise as best I could, and then did some LFOs all on different timing and everything. So it's
constantly evolving,
pseudo-generative, but doesn't repeat really.
Yeah.
And I wanted to put that out mainly because I wanted to listen to it myself. I use that as functional background noise in my life.
Right on.
And it felt too nerdy for night mode.
Fair. That's fair.
So.
Ooh,
and then the subject matter. Yeah, I know.
That's a boundary I was not expecting someone to find.
It's that's not something I asked Drew about. It's just something I felt in my heart.
No, that's fair.
So the name Drone Space 9 suggested itself from the subject matter, and then the subsequent Drone Space 9 releases have just been that stuff that feels just like too experimental for night mode. Not that that's a fixed boundary, but it felt right for the other things I've done to be that. This in particular, Revolution and Darker Dimensions, this easily could have been night mode, but to make the crossover event work, it helped to have a third name instead of two of the same.
Right on.
But to answer your question directly, I generally know what it's gonna be. Vocals is MS Ride. Everything else is night mode unless it's too weird.
Right on.
Then it's Drone Space 9.
That totally makes sense. So was this an improvisation piece, or did you do some composing, or how did this come out? Basically
improvisation. Now the room was prepared, and this kind of gets into the optical controller. Mm-hmm. Long story short, and link to the full explainer video about how I made the controller itself and the music in the notes and description, but the controller is a piece of wood with some passive electrical components on it, slightly wider than the synthesizer itself, so 12 to 14 inches wide. And there's 8 points on it. They're photo transistors that are light sensitive. In the light, and I connect it to the Lyra with alligator clips. So when light is hitting the photo transistor, the corresponding Lyra voice, there's 8 of them, you can hear it, the envelope opens. And once I figured this out, it immediately to me suggested two different ways of playing it, right? You can play in a lit space and use shadow to control the instrument, or vice versa. You could play in a dark space and use light. Hence,
Title.
light into dark,
Right on.
dark into light. And that's exactly what I did. So I didn't, I set the initial conditions for the synthesizer, but had no plan as far as how I would change the controls of the synthesizer itself. And then to prepare the room for, for dark into light, so that's a light room, I'm bringing dark into it with shadow. I used my hands, and I had a piece of cloth that I could use to cover up certain voices. And then I cut out this piece of cardboard from the recycling box and suspended it from the ceiling, and I could move it around and hold it. I could kind of push it and let it swing. And so there was an element of chaos and unpredictability that I was guiding. And then basically the opposite for light into dark. Dark room, similar setup, but instead of a shadow casting piece of cardboard, I had a flashlight on a string, and it would swing around, and I would hold it off to the side, and things would get very quiet, and I would swing it back over, and things would get very loud, and I would turn the knobs, and I did it. I was in kind of a hurry, so I was making this just this past December. I had borrowed the synth from Dad at Thanksgiving, because I've been trying to come up with this optical controller for a while, and I thought I finally had it cracked, and I wanted to have the instrument with me to do my final testing. And it took almost a month to actually figure it out and get the controller built. So I only had a couple days left with the synth before I had promised him to bring it back at Christmas.
Right on.
So I just sat down and banged out the improvisations, I think on the same afternoon. If not, it was consecutive days. But I ended up really happy with the performances. The nice thing about I actually like the light controller more than the touchpads that come with the instrument, because the touchpads are basically on off, but the light controller has some volume control.
Okay, cool.
So it's a more expressive interface. And I really tried to lean into that to make this record distinct from my dad's record. And obviously it's in conversation with my dad's record. Exact same, literally the same instrument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I had that set up, I would be tempted to leave it by an east-facing window where I've got some, where the light comes in through the leaves, and when the trees sway back and forth, it'll modulate, and so, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna fade this down, and we'll move on. But yes, I had the same thoughts.
Right on.
And not only, I kind of wish I built all the optical controllers onto one piece of wood, but I kind of wish I'd made separate ones so you could spread them out and get more of that different effect.
Yeah.
And that idea has sent me down a whole path. So something I'm working on separate from all of this. But it made me want to build my own Lyra with jacks where you could plug in all different kinds of remote controllers, knobs, touch interfaces, light controllers. And so I'm in the process of dreaming up my own instrument, and I kind of had it. And this is based on very well-known Schmidt trigger oscillators and very well-known DIY concepts. But then about a month ago, I got inspired. So another thing I want to add to all this is lots of insert points where you can insert guitar pedals for effects.
Cool. Right on.
So have a lot of flexibility. But that means I want to run it on single-sided power. Like I don't want Euro rack power. I want 9-volt single-sided power. And like that all works, except the thing I am stuck on right now. I was actually working on it right before I came down to talk with you. I'm trying to get linear to exponential conversion on single-sided power, so at least some of the oscillators could be volt per octave and actually be playable as a keyboard or whatever, and not just a purely experimental thing. And I'm pretty close, but I haven't quite cracked it yet. But that's like the ultimate. My ultimate dream. I'm gonna start small. I'm gonna try not to bite off more than I can chew. But my ultimate dream is about 8 oscillators plus a noise source or 2, 3 LFOs with different ways to blend and ring mod the LFOs against each other. And then specifically the pseudo sequencer from I'll link to this. Casper Electronics has like a 10-year-old video on this really cool like pseudo sequencer from a Schmidt trigger used as a clock and a what's that other chip? Oh, it's like a divide down counter, right? So the clock goes in and you get the output a divide by 2, a divide by 4, all the way up to like divide by 64, which means that even at high clock rates, by the time you divide all the way down, it could take like 30 minutes to cycle completely.
Right on.
Wow, I've been talking so much.
No, it's cool
Not
though.
used to this.
Yeah, no, you're the discussion about building your own rig. Not to give you even more work to do, but I think. So, are you planning to do like multiple inputs similar to the optical receiver, or?
Yeah. So the goal there is to have. My concept is it's like an insert jack for a controller. So you have a knob that changes the tuning of an oscillator.
Okay.
But right next to it, you have a switch jack that would override the knob. Okay. That just says like 0 to 100k ohms. And the idea is that we can build all kinds of different controllers, touch controllers, light controllers, banana controllers, anything you can imagine that can be plugged into that and override the knob, and that's all passive for the so to me that opens up this whole world of DIY and flexibility for the instrument, because you can have one controller, say we have one light controller, but if I've got 20 different points on the synthesizer where I can patch that in,
nice,
that's 20 different sounds with no extra power requirements or
cool.
Yeah,
that'd be a really cool installation. I'm reminded of weatherfortheblind.org. I don't know if you've heard of that website or not, but
I don't know that I have.
It's hopefully it still works, but the basic concept, if I recall correctly, is someone has like various weather sensors, so like wind speed, temperature, humidity, or whatever, and feeds those as inputs into a synth of some kind. And so as the weather changes, it has effects on what you hear. And so stuff like that, I think it's just really cool.
Definitely similar concepts.
Yeah.
So that we'll move on. I want to move on to the Night Mode record. No, this is all on me. But that's a multi-year project with no ETA or anything like that. But yeah, let's move on. Let's hear a couple Night Mode songs from the crossover album Serenity in Darker Dimensions. Starting with the road to Apatina Gulch. So this record is some jams I did in mostly 2022, and it was the first, the MS-20 was the core, but I was just starting to buy some modular intentionally to augment the MS-20 with, so extra LFO, extra oscillator, and so yeah, these are just jams I did as I started to incorporate modular gear with the MS-20.
Also improvisational?
Not as purely improvisational as Revolution. The general approach for this type of night mode record for me, like as with Only Mostly Dead or the AX61, what's it called? I'll think of it. But the general idea, I'm gonna do a piece in like an hour or two, and often I don't have any composition in mind when I have my time and come to do my piece. But often I will have a technical concept that I want to explore. So I will be coming in to the session, which just means, an hour in the laundry room or whatever, thinking, okay, tonight I'm gonna use the MS-20's ring mod sound, or tonight I want to use an LFO at audio rate to do something. It's a little tool, a little grip to get me started on something. And I will just set that up, patch that up or whatever, and start totally freeform improvising and see where it goes. And just kind of follow that where it leads. And often something will kind of emerge. And I will work with that just from, just in the moment, from memory, starting and stopping, until I have in my mind a concept of a piece that would kind of include tempo, or if there, an LFO rate, and the basic harmonic structure and potentially melody, the basic arrangement of kind of where are we building and releasing, are we going on a journey, more linear, and then I'll try and do a couple takes, and if I don't have it by the third take, I might try again the next night, or it might just be a dead end and I'll move on to a different concept. So I don't know how to answer your question. Is it improvisational?
No,
it's kind of a mix.
You perfectly answered the question. There are elements of improv, but as an exploration.
Yeah. And also, but I couldn't repeat it. Like,
sure.
These pieces don't stick in my mind the way a guitar-based MS Ride song would.
Yeah.
Where I could go years without playing it and sit down and basically play it. I might need to see the lyrics again. But the chords and the melody would be in my mind. This, I don't know what key this is in. I don't know what notes I'm playing. I did it once and recorded it, and then it was gone.
Yep.
And ideally, it was a first take. It might be a second take if I made a bad mistake on the first one. But usually that's kind of my time. 90 minutes is a good session. I generally don't have 2 hours to spend on a piece like this, so... And I find this helpful, but I do kind of have to work fast and not be too precious about it.
So do you often work in a time-boxed way, or is it only when you're doing night mode stuff do you try and regiment your time?
I almost always work in 90-minute to 2 hour blocks, because just for life. And that generally has to do with family and movement around the house.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And also my own attention span. This piece and pieces like it, I don't think would be any better if I had 3 or 4 hours to spend on them. Okay. What I would end up doing in that case, the writing wouldn't take any longer. So what I'd end up doing is having 8 takes instead of one. Generally, with a piece like this, even if I record 2 or 3, it's because I messed up the first one, and I know I can do better, and so I know that take 2 or take 3 is going to be the one.
Yeah.
Very occasionally, 1 in 20, I might like elements of both take 2 and 3, and so I will save them both and pick later, or
so do you
less than half the time of that, make an edit, and see if I can stitch them together somehow.
Okay. Yeah, I was just going to ask. It's like, do you always stick with one take, or do you kind of pick and choose and do a little bit of editing after the fact?
I'm not rigid about it, but 95% of the time it's one take.
Right on.
But if I had more time, I'd have 8 takes.
I hear that.
And then that becomes an editing problem.
Yep.
Or editing burden, I'll say. And I don't know that the music ends up better for it, for this type of material.
That's fair. So this one was definitely very musical to my ears. I really dig this one. So what was do you recall what your mission was with this particular piece? Nope. Okay.
I don't. I think I can pick out. So among the early modular pieces was a Erica Synths VCO. It's the 3 HP. What do they call those? Pico VCO, which is a wavetable oscillator, not editable, I don't think. And so I'm pretty sure what I hear here is that oscillator on the melody, the higher part, and it's got kind of that metallic timbre. And so I think an LFO is sweeping through the wavetable.
Okay.
In addition to the really obvious like filter LFO. And this is probably kind of unusual in that I can maybe back out what the mission was, but I'm guessing it had to do with using the wavetable oscillator and sweeping the wavetable, not just picking a waveform.
Cool.
That third chord, kind of that passing chord, I would never plan that or write that. Like, that's definitely just an improvisational accident that caught my ear.
Cool.
Yeah, nice little short one.
Yeah.
We'll do one more of these for, gotta remember my album titles. Serenity and Darker Dimensions. This is Light and Power. I don't know why I went with lots of kind of cowboy western song titles for this. I don't remember specifically, but I had a key step and a Korg SQ1 to use as controllers, so I'm sure both of them made appearances. I can't say for sure what's driving this one. The key step was great because I could do... My MS-20 is an MS-20 Mini, so it does have basic MIDI in.
Okay.
So with the key step, I could run MIDI to the MS-20 and CV gate to the Eurorack stuff and mix them together. I don't think I record, but I was mixing like through the MS-20, so whatever, if there was audio coming out of the Eurorack, it was going to the MS-20's external signal processor and getting mixed within that and mono out. Which is great. Yeah, then you can distort the Eurorack stuff, run it through the MS-20's filters, and so this album, it reminds me of another Night Mode album I did called Thinking About the Meaninglessness of Everything, the Expanse of Eternity, the Indifference of the Void that Consumes Us All, and What We Should Have for Lunch.
Classic.
That was something I typed into a synth forum that Drew editorially pulled out and said this should be the album title. So I didn't set out to name the album that.
Right on.
So he deserves some credit there. But I was looking to see in the timeline, so that, which is on nightmode.bandcamp.com, that says I recorded it in March of 21. So that would be earlier, I believe, than these pieces. But they have a similar kind of aggressive texture to my ears. More so than the solo MS-20, like Only Mostly Dead. And I don't remember exactly what gear the Thinking About the Meaninglessness of Everything is. I should give that a listen. Well, if you like this, listeners, you can go to mrfuriousrecords.bandcamp.com. I'm going to fade this down. I want to get on to the third in our Darker Dimensions crossover, which is the MS Ride record. And I did I sequenced the records for posterity, thinking that future people, if you're going back through the catalog, you would encounter the most approachable first, which means the release is kind of backwards. I started with the most challenging, but perhaps that is good news to you, fair listener, that we're moving on to the more approachable stuff. This is called Enough.
Fire.
From the MS Ride record, Perseverance in Darker Dimensions.
Couldn't get enough. Faith. Fire.
Couldn't get enough. Couldn't get enough. Fire.
Couldn't get enough. Love.
It's so fun.
It's good stuff.
So this is really like the spiritual follow-up to an album I made with Royce called Not One Person Left Out, of synth jams and 404 effects processing and Royce's vocal samples. I had another set of beats that was kind of similar, and Royce wasn't in a place schedule-wise to do another collaboration, so I basically set out to make a solo-ish version of Not One Person Left Out. There are some guest vocals on the record, including Royce did one song for me. But the instrumentation was very simple. This is all the beats are solo one-pass performances on a Korg monotribe, which I did modify somewhat. So I changed some of the drum sounds, and I added a touch controller for the filter, so you can do the filter with pressure instead of twisting the knob. Direct outs, I added direct outs for the drums so they could be mixed, though I didn't take advantage of them on this project. So monotribe jams, instrumental monotribe jams, dumped onto the 404 SX, and heavy effects processing and like all the dub style stuff, and then making and mixing the vocal samples on the 404 SX as well.
Cool.
And so I mostly did my own vocal samples.
Mm-hmm.
There's 3 guests: MC Reach from Kansas City, my friend Corey Kibler, aka Van Ripper, and Royce. And I guess in the history of, or in the story of my music, I think this is the first time chronologically that I made my own vocal samples. That would evolve a lot in recent years to something like Frog on the King's Head.
Mm-hmm.
And another record that I'm going to put out later this year that's like a combination of this and Frog on the King's Head.
Oh, wow.
But this was the start, kind of. The Monotribe's sequencer, I swear, it has just like a 1% swing or something in it. It's so funky.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I gotta do more with the Monotribe.
Agreed.
It's so great. It's such a joy to play. It's just so fun. Everything you do sounds cool. Even if you're just having a jam for yourself.
Right on.
It's such a great little instrument.
So is there a story for these lyrics?
For the song specifically, or the whole?
For the song.
There is, sort of. Thank you for asking. There's a loose concept.
Okay.
And the loose concepts are, and the first piece is true of maybe a couple songs on this project, and many, 3 or 4 songs on the upcoming one that I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
But the summer I made this, which was like 2 years ago maybe, I was reading Raymond Chandler for the first time at Corey's recommendation. And Chandler is such a brilliant and funny and artistic writer at the sentence level. Like, I mean, I like Chandler, but I mean, the pages are consistently good, but about every 5 or 10 pages, there's a sentence that's just brilliant and beautiful and funny, and I'm not saying these lyrics are that level, but that's the vibe I was kind of trying to cop.
Okay.
And definitely, I don't remember what the sentence was. This is not a direct Chandler quotation, but the first part is, it's a long walk if you like running.
Right on.
That's 100% Chandler.
Okay.
And then the other piece of like bringing this together was, I hope he'll take it as a compliment. I was really trying to channel Milk Drop from Datura Records. There's a little Datura hook.
Right on.
I love Milk Drop, and he has such a unique way of phrasing things, and his kind of mode where he's laid back and behind the beat. In the execution of the lyrics, I was definitely trying to cop a Milk Drop kind of thing.
And they're still coming. It's a nice walk if you like running. Scooting past the ghosts. Armor up, and they're still. It's a nice walk if you like running.
The dub effects were, just as much a part of the music as anything else, and I spent a lot of time. Like, I would practice those. I would make notes, paper notes of my arrangement, and so when I would sit down to do the effects, I would audition almost every effect on each part, on the synth part and on the vocals, and pick the 6 or sometimes 7 or 8 if I could configure, memorize my button presses and everything, which ones I was going to use, where they were going to be, what the settings were going to be, and then do a performance. And that was super fun. So I would take some time with that and do 3, 4, 5, 6 takes until I got one that really felt good.
Cool.
That's very, like, doing effects, like stem effects and dub effects on the 404 is very enjoyable, low-key music making for me, because you can't ruin anything. For whatever reason, I don't feel the pressure to get a take right the way I would with a guitar part or something. So it's just sitting back and goofing around until something sounds good. Which is a great place to get to. I mean, I love making music. Obviously, we're here. All this stuff is all about it, but a lot of it is like trying really hard, kind of too. You know what I mean? I'm trying to do my best. I'm trying to be my best, and I've eased up on the pressure on myself over the years, but I still am pushing and trying to set those personal bests.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, messing with 404 effects just does not feel the same. It is just, I'll be on the patio with my feet up,
Nice.
just twisting knobs and having a good old time. That's another Chandler, I bet. Get your head treated.
Ah, okay.
If not a direct quote, at least the vibe, right?
Yeah.
Get your head treated. Brutally ultravenous. Get your head treated. Brutally ultravenous. Get your head
I tried not to straight up lift
ultravenous.
lines.
Get your head treated.
And, you know, so, and definitely brutally ultravenous is just some
Brutally ultravenous.
hopefully cool sounding nonsense that, whatever you think of it, I definitely wrote those two words.
Okay.
Um,
Agreed.
but something about,
Definitely cool sounding nonsense. Yes.
yeah,
It paints a
a lot of
picture.
times that's ideal for samples.
Yes.
And that's another like fun part of this mode of making music is, you know, a lot of my stuff, again, it's super fun, but
Get your head treated.
there is either a concept or,
Brutally ultravenous.
you know, I'm trying to tell some type of story or get some type of emotion across with a lyric or something like that. And the 404 stuff,
Brutally
it's just
ultravenous.
about sounding cool mostly. It's
Right on. Yeah.
it's not about anything more than that.
Ultravenous.
And that's a great space to access and
Absolutely.
visit from time to time.
Get your head treated.
And I didn't choose the most ridiculous stuff for the podcast, but there's some, like I did a song I tried to do like a black metal thing on the Monotribe, including vocals,
Outstanding.
just to see, like that was the
listening.
mission, that was the concept, right? Like how metal can I make this? And it's very funny. Hopefully it's very funny.
Outstanding. I cannot
The
wait to hear
attempt
that
to be
one.
funny is on purpose.
Cool.
But yeah, just goofing around. Get your head treated. Cool. Well, I'm gonna, Michael, I appreciate you spending all this time with me and listening to all this music and.
Thank you for sharing. It's great stuff.
Oh, absolutely. But I'm gonna. I shared one more song with you. We can just go out on it in the edit. So
Okay.
that'll be Curtain Call featuring Royce. So we'll send the listeners out on that. Listeners, if you haven't gone back or you're not caught up, Michael put out an album about 6 weeks ago by the time you hear this, remst8.bandcamp.com to check that out. And we did a whole episode about it, talked about the record, talked about the process behind it and everything like that. As far as Darker Dimensions goes, you can pick up all 3 Darker Dimensions crossover event albums at mrfuriousrecords.bandcamp.com, or by the time you hear this, wherever you stream music, if you stream music other places. There's also a YouTube video. Let's see. I'm getting so much has happened. I'm getting my time mixed around. We did talk about that earlier in this episode, link in the description. I also have t-shirts for sale. It is a design that combines elements of all 3 Darker Dimensions covers. So link in the description for that. I put a lot of time into this and I'm really proud of the design. It's a high quality Bella Canvas tri-blend shirt. So a nice shirt. We're not talking your cardboardy 100% cotton. cool design, prints with a lot of detail, lots of colors available. There is a ladies V-neck cut available if you like that kind of thing. And I kept the prices pretty low. You can have it shipped to you for well under $30. So give that a look if you're a t-shirt buying type. And I tried to make it just a cool design. Hopefully you think it's a cool design. But it's not just like all about the album or all about Mr. Furious Records. It's meant to sort of look cool and blend in with your wardrobe without announcing, it's all just, for this thing. So it's kind of meant to fit in if you're a t-shirt wearing type. Michael, did I forget anything we need to plug or mention or link to or anything like that?
Yeah, all sounds good to me. I need to get one of those shirts.
Excellent. Well, we're banking this one a little bit. But the link is up, so I'll send you the link.
Cool, thank you.
And then you can go back in time and appear on this podcast and wear your shirt. I wore your shirt. Let's see. So I'm taking a huge detour, but now that I've opened the can of worms, I can't avoid it. I'll keep it short. I'm trying to get out, but this has been a double podcast day for me. I recorded an episode. I think the episode I recorded earlier in the day wearing the shirt comes out next week. I'm deep in the podcast quicksand today.
What is time?
What is time even?
If that's possible.
Time is disappearing in darker dimensions on Dat Fury Radio. I appreciate everybody's time and listening, and we'll see you next week. Later, everybody.
It's curtain call. Overcast, the cameras flash, fade to black, take the makeup off. It's curtain call. It's curtain call. Overcast, the cameras flash, fade to black, take the makeup off. It's curtain call.
It's curtain call.
The last act, the final walk, when the roses fall. It's curtain call. It's curtain call. Overcast, cameras flash, fade to black, take the makeup off. It's curtain call.
It's curtain call.
Crowd applause. Crowd applause.
It's curtain call. It's curtain call. Crowd applause. It's curtain call. It's curtain call. It's curtain call. Overcast, the cameras flash, fade to black, take the makeup off. It's curtain call.
The last act, final walk, roses fall.
It's curtain call.
It's curtain call.
It's curtain call. The last act, the final walk, when the roses fall. It's curtain call. Curtain call. It's curtain call.
It's curtain call.
It's curtain call. It's curtain call. Curtain call. curtain call. Crowd applause.
Skirt off.
Curtain call.
It's curtain call.
Curtain call. Overcast.
It's curtain call. The last act, the final walk.
When the roses fall. It's curtain call. It's curtain call. It's curtain call. It's curtain call.
It's curtain call.
It's curtain call. It's curtain call. Overcast, the cameras flash,
Fade to black.
It's curtain call. The last act and the final walk. It's curtain call. It's curtain call. It's curtain call. Curtain call. Cool.